Can your own property be stolen without anyone breaking in? What if someone calls the cops on your teenage son for being inside your own house? And what happens when a woman with a clipboard thinks she owns the entire lake? That's exactly what happened to us. And the moment she saw my wife's military ID, everything changed. This is the story of how we taught HOA Karen a lesson she'll never forget. They say moving to the lake is like buying peace itself. At least that's what I thought. Until my son's first night in our cabin ended with police, lights flashing at midnight, and a woman named Karen screaming that we were criminals. You see, my family bought that lake cabin years ago. A quiet spot, away from city politics and HOA power trips. Or so we believed. But then came Karen, clipboard, sunglasses, permanent scowl, and a twisted obsession with controlling everything around the lake. The night she called 911 on my teenage son for breaking into a cabin, it crossed a line. And the moment she saw my wife's military ID, her face drained like she'd seen a ghost. She didn't know my wife was active duty, or that I'd spent years as military police. But this wasn't just about showing her a badge. This was about teaching her, and the HOA, a lesson they'd never forget. Because Karen wasn't ready for what we'd do next. The cabin sat quiet at the end of the lake. Hand-built by my father. Legally ours, clear title, property taxes paid yearly. A family retreat. When my son Luke turned 18, we gave him the keys for summer. We thought, let him enjoy some freedom. Fish in the mornings. Study in the afternoons. Make memories. Karen thought differently. First day Luke texted me, "Dad, there's a woman taking pictures of the cabin." My heart sank. I knew. HOA Karen. I told him to ignore her. Next day, a notice taped to our door. Unauthorized occupancy. Vacate immediately. Luke panicked. But I told him, it's harassment. Stay calm. That night Karen escalated. She claimed Luke was squatting in an unoccupied property. She called the sheriff. Luke called me at midnight, shaking, red and blue lights flashing outside the cabin, deputies banging on the door. I drove there immediately. By the time I arrived, Luke was outside. Karen stood triumphant beside the deputies. "This isn't his property," she declared. "I manage this lake." I walked straight up, handed my ID to the deputy. "Property owner." End of discussion. Karen didn't budge. "You'll need to prove that." I nodded. Gladly. Next morning, certified copies of deeds, legal letters from my lawyer. Karen was officially notified, but that was just the beginning. Karen wasn't satisfied. She issued HOA violation fines. For our cabin, $500 per day for non-approved residency. She blocked Luke's driveway using orange cones. Claimed road maintenance. Twice, Luke found his fishing boat untied and drifting. One afternoon, she tried to chain the cabin gate shut. Claimed the HOA had seized the property pending review. Luke video called me during. His voice shook. "Dad, she's putting a lock on our own gate." Enough was enough, I told my wife. She requested 2 days leave. Next morning, we arrived together. Karen strutted toward us, brandishing a clipboard like a sword. "We've decided your son's presence is a safety concern," she snapped. "I've called law enforcement." Then my wife calmly flipped open her wallet, revealing her active duty military ID. Karen froze mid-sentence, silent, pale. "This property belongs to my family," my wife said softly. "My husband and son are here under my authority." Karen backed away, but she wasn't done yet. Days later, a new letter arrived. Karen claimed we owed $9,500 in back HOA fees for a property never under HOA control. It was time for real action. I hired a property attorney, dug into the HOA's charter. What we found was golden. Karen's HOA had no jurisdiction over properties like ours. Their authority ended at the old county line, 300 feet, before our driveway. Her fines? Fraudulent. Her letters? Illegal harassment. And blocking access to our cabin? Criminal trespass. Time for Karen to learn what military discipline looks like. We sent a cease and desist letter, notarized and hand-delivered. Next, I filed a police report. Criminal interference with private property. We posted a large, laminated sign at the entrance. Private property, not under HOA jurisdiction. Trespassers will be prosecuted. My wife sent a formal complaint to the state's Department of Homeowners Associations. Within days, Karen's HOA received a legal compliance notice. Karen's power was cracking, but I wasn't done. We invited every neighboring cabin owner to a BBQ, explained everything. Turns out, most of them hated Karen's antics too. We organized a petition, demanding Karen step down as HOA president. Final showdown came fast. Karen confronted us at the next HOA meeting. But this time, surrounded by angry neighbors, I stood calmly, my wife in uniform beside me. "Any claim this HOA makes against my property," I said, "will be handled by the State Attorney General's office. You are harassing military personnel and interfering with private ownership Karen tried to protest, but neighbors booed her down. The HOA board, likely fearing lawsuits, motioned to suspend Karen's authority pending investigation. Her face? I'll never forget it. 2 weeks later, we received formal letters clearing all fraudulent fines and acknowledging our cabin as non-HOA property. Karen resigned quietly. Her clipboard? Last seen discarded near the community dumpster. Now Luke enjoys the cabin without interference. Peace restored. Karen, just a memory. And my wife? She jokes that her military ID now serves 2 purposes: protecting the nation and protecting our lake cabin. So what's the takeaway? When bullies use rules as weapons, knowing your rights beats any clipboard. And when a Karen underestimates a military family, she learns real discipline. Tell me, what would you have done in my place? Comment "Justice served" if you made it to the end. And subscribe, because out here peace isn't bought. It's defended,